Hello, 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 everyone. Thank you so much for stopping by. I had a couple questions in my new series for the puzzle quilt, and I thought I would just bring you along and answer those two questions because I think it's easier to show you than it is to actually type it out. Miss Michelle asked about my favorite starch, and this is it. It is in this blue container, and you can see that it says 1 bottle of this starch equals 7 aerosol cans. I don't know about all that because I've been using this bottle for over a year now and I still have a little bit left. So I guess it depends on how much you use because I think I've gotten way more than 7 cans use out of this bottle. I just pour half, let's see, yeah, I mix it half and half into a spray bottle just like this one from the Dollar Tree. Half starch and half water, and for me that works great. You can of course mix it and dilute it however you like. There have been some projects before where I just used straight starch. So I really think it depends on what you're doing at the time, but in general I mix it 50-50 with water, and this bottle has lasted me over a year. A tiny bit left, and it has a small odor to it, but it's nothing compared to the aerosol cans in my opinion. Okay, so this is the kind of starch that I like to use. Now Miss Brenda sent me a message and said, could you please show me how you cut your fabric base 30 by 40 inches. And you know what? I thought that that's probably a really good idea because I did not show that in the video. And I have so many new quilters, and I thought, you know, I should have probably filmed that part instead of just saying, here's my fabric base already pre-cut. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray lightly this whole piece and give it a press. I just think that it helps give it a little bit of body. It does not make it completely stiff, but it helps me be a little bit more accurate in the cutting. So let me go ahead and do that and give this a press, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how to cut the fabric base 30 inches by 40 inches. So we'll be right back. Okay, here's my fabric all starched and pressed. And you can see it's not stiff, but it does have a little bit more body to it. It's just going to help me be a little bit more accurate in my cutting. Now I thought about backing you up so you could see the whole thing, but I really want you to pay attention to the lines on my mat and the way that the fold is when I fold this piece of material. So I'm going to keep you close up. You won't be able to see everything, but importantly, you'll be able to see the lines on my mat and where I make my cuts. So let's unfold this. Let's see. The first cut I'm going to do is go ahead and cut my, let's see, hold on one second. Yeah, okay, let's go ahead and cut the 30-inch width of our piece first. So give me a second, I just had that all. Okay, that's going to be the 40 is this way. Fold your fabric in half. Pardon the ruffles. Just like this. Find it just like that. Go ahead and fold that directly in half. And when it's folded in half, go ahead and smooth it all out and really finger press this fold. Okay, and the piece is going to be large, just like that. Go ahead and flatten it all out. Now take one end and meet it back up So your folded edge is right here. This is your raw edge. Lay it all nice and flat out on your cutting mat. So just like this, there's no tucks. Everything is nice and flat on this edge, this folded edge. And everything is nice and flat and smooth on this fold. And it's very important to keep it accurate to make sure that this fold is lined up all the way down. See that? It's all lined up there. You want to smooth it all out just like this. Now we're going to flip this around, and the first cut we are making is for our 30 inch side. You know what? I'm going to fold this one more time so that you can see exactly what I'm doing. Make sure that folded edge is all lined up. All of my folds are nice and flat, just like that. See how it all lines up? Now on my cutting mat, I can line up my folded edge with a line on my cutting mat, making sure it's all nice and straight. You want this line to be straight, and you want these folds to be straight. So check all of the lines on your cutting mat. Let me scooch you up so you can see. Can you see there? Yes. Alright, just checking my lines, making sure I'm nice and straight. Now the camera is a little tilted. That's why it looks funny. Let's move you over some. These spontaneous video ideas. I did not pre-plan for this whatsoever, but I think you get the idea. Nice and straight on the cutting mat lines. Nice and straight with all of your folds. Okay? Everything is nice and flat. Let me grab my ruler. So from this fold to cut 30, because remember initially our first fold was to fold our big piece of fabric in half right down the middle. So keeping that in mind, we only need to come over 15 inches from this fold. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we cut this at 15 inches, when we open it up, it's going to give us an accurate 30 inches wide. So now we can unfold this, and this fabric now, it's not all going to fit in the frame, but I have it coming all the way over, and it is now exactly 30 inches wide. Now we want to cut 40 inches long from this top to the bottom. So let me put my thinking cap on. We're going to now refold our fabric this way. Alright, and we're going to make sure that our freshly cut edge lines up together perfectly like that. It's going to keep us all nice and straight. Let me get this all sorted. Cooperate fabric. There we go. Alright, this is the side that we just cut. Okay, so from this edge to this edge is 30 inches. We have folded the other way, and I know that's kind of confusing. What we're going to do is we're going to match up all of our freshly cut raw edges, just like that. So everything is lined up. We're going to shake this out and get it all sorted. I'm just going to flatten and smooth it all out, but I'm not really shifting the fabric. I'm just smoothing all of the wrinkles and the tucks right out of there. Now this cut will be a little bit easier to match up because your raw edges should be completely flush with one another, and your fold should be all lined up perfectly flush with one another. Is that going to fit in the frame? Not quite. Let me do this. That helps. So anytime you're cutting out a large piece and you want it to be perfectly square, you can fold your pieces like this. You just have to make sure that you keep everything nice and straight. So let me show you on this line, because I think that fits in the camera. If you line up your fold right on that line, just like that, and your fold should run along straight with this line, and this edge should match up perfectly to that line. So that way you know everything is going to be nice and square. Check your folds and make sure nothing is tucked up inside that fabric. Now, because the fabric is folded in half this way, we're going to count from the fold 20 inches over and cut our 40-inch length. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20. And now you can open up your piece just like this, and it should be all nice and square and perfectly cut to 30 inches by 40 inches. Of course, it's not going to fit all in the frame. So here's my 30-inch side, and this is my 40-inch side. And you can see that's a little bit longer, but it'll measure 40 inches. So that's how I cut my piece. And you know what? I'm going to put a link to the Let Faith Rise quilt, because the background of that quilt I cut the exact same way, and I'm a little bit further away from the camera, and so you can see the whole process and how I fold it and cut it. And I'm pretty sure that I walk you through cutting the background for that quilt as well. So if you haven't seen that video, go down to the description box or look on my channel and find the Let Faith Rise quilt. And you can fast forward the video until I get to the part where I'm cutting out the background for that quilt. And you can rewatch this in case I might have been confusing during this process. But I really wanted to get this video up for you today so that you can go ahead and get started and not be waiting on me. So I apologize if any of this was confusing, but see how nice and square that is? So if you want to practice, I recommend finding some bed sheets at the thrift store and just go to town practicing before you start cutting out your good fabrics that you want to use for your quilt, and get the process down, and then cut out your background for this quilt. Alright everyone, I am off to work on a t-shirt quilt. I've already filmed the video for next week. I can't wait for you to see it. Until then, we will see you next week. Bye.